Good afternoon. We want to welcome you to Hillsborough County Fire Rescue Headquarters. We are very proud to have Mayor Jane Castor, CFO Patronis, and I'm going to turn the podium over to St. Pete Fire Rescue Fire Chief Jim Large.
Hey, well, good afternoon, and thank you, Chief Jones. I have the privilege and honor, as he mentioned, to be. Now I'm lost to be the fire chief for the city of St. Pete, and with me today is, as you met, Chief Jones and Chief Cicero at Tampa. And what's important about those three departments that we represent is the fact that they make up what is known today as the Florida Task Force 3, the USAR Florida Task Force 3. Actually started back in 1995 with a collaboration between those three agencies forming a team that was officially recognized in 2001 as a USAR team, so we're very proud of that. The Urban Search and Rescue Task Force involves location, rescue, extrication, and medical stabilization of individuals that are trapped in confined spaces. Most often we deal with structural collapse, but there are many, many different things. It's a multi-hazard discipline, so we may be needed for such things as earthquakes. I hope not. I mean, that's another coast issue. Hurricanes, which we're probably most familiar with, tornadoes, technological accidents, terrorist activities, and hazardous materials. Florida Task Force 3 has the distinction of being one of the most experienced task forces in the state, having been deployed to events such as World Trade Center, statewide disasters like Hurricane Charlie, Ivan, Irma, and Michael, and then national disasters like Katrina and Harvey. What these men and women, such as those standing behind me today, do to protect our communities is truly, truly exceptional. They leave their families to respond to an environment under demanding conditions, and they're there for days and nights on end at a time to provide the critical rescue and aid that the community impacted by the disaster so desperately needs. They truly are extraordinary individuals, and I can speak to my own experience in coming and watching them train, never participating, but watching them train and seeing that dedication and that commitment and the passion for what they do. They really are extraordinary. There's not a better word. And it's all about their pride and their professionalism. It's certainly not about things such as compensation. We can't give them enough for what they do. So as I mentioned, it takes these distinguished personnel many long hours of training to qualify to be on the task force. It takes responding to such disasters to put that training in practice and improve their skills. And finally, it takes a lot of specialized equipment. This team has over 60,000 pounds of tools, equipment, and logistical support when they respond to a mission. Now, this would not be possible without the support of our community, the local and state officials that allow these men and women the funding to be able to respond to each one of these. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to a longtime partner in public safety and a newly elected mayor of Tampa, Mayor Jane Castor.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief Large. And it's so nice to see so many friends and individuals that I have worked with my entire career. Chief Jones and Chief Cicero as well. They do such a great job. And I also want to say thank you to State Representative Diane Hart for coming out, and for Council Member Joe Citro for coming out and to show their support for such an important issue. We are, as the chief pointed out, we don't necessarily suffer from earthquakes, but we all know too well that we oftentimes are ground zero for hurricanes. And so this is something that we have to prepare for prior to. And I know the amount of work that goes into the preparation for the urban search and rescue teams, members of which you see behind us. But no matter how much practice they participate in or how well prepared they are, you never know what you're going to face in an emergency. So it's imperative that they have the right equipment and they have the tools necessary to get the job done. And one of the elements that I think that we do so well here, not only in the state of Florida, we do it well with the interagency communication and working relationships, but I would submit that we do it better here in the Tampa Bay area, and specifically in Hillsborough County, than any other county in the state. And that is working together to serve our citizens in any capacity. And the last thing that we want to do is to have to deploy our urban search and rescue teams. But if it's necessary, we are prepared. There's no doubt about that. And we are so excited to be able to have our newly elected CFO, Jimmy Patronis, here in Hillsborough County, to see how well we work together, and also to understand that you have to have that financial backing. We've all worked with the federal agencies, and you know that in order to get any reimbursements when you've gone through a situation, it's very, very difficult to do that. And everything has to be in order so that we can get those payments into our communities. But more importantly, I think it is wonderful that you and your team are here to see the urban search and rescue, to see them in action and to understand the process, just not from the financial end of it. So I welcome you to Hillsborough County, and I thank you very, very much for your service to our state.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations. Your own distinguished service, public service, and now to be coming back and making such a difference in one of our feature cities of our state. Thank you for your commitment and sacrifice. You know, it seemed like just yesterday, I'm doing my first ride along with y'all right after Hurricane Irma. And look, this guy shows up, and I'm the newly appointed, CFO, state fire marshal for the state. And I hardly could spell the letter CFO. And as I'm getting to understand the gravity of what I've been asked to do, I get humbled by the men and women who sacrifice their lives every day, 24/7, 365, to create this incredible state that we live in. As we saw the developments that took place with Hurricane Irma and a storm that literally touched 40 of our counties, and the challenges that we put on our first responders, it was humbling. The week after, I'm down in Key West, and I borrowed a friend's car, and I started driving up US 1, and I'm seeing fire stations from all over the state that are deployed at different fire stations in Monroe County, and all they're providing support and backup for these individuals that have just signed up for a job. And look, it's a service you signed up, it's a calling you signed up for. And what an honor to be able to stand here with you today. But as I'm starting to learn the full scope and role of our job at the State Fire Marshal's Office, and understanding the role of our USAR teams, I think, we need to brag. We need to explain. We need to make sure the public understands the sacrifice these men and women make. So fast forward, and I see Rick back here. We ordered pizza together when y'all were in Panama City. So Hurricane Michael hits, and this is my hometown. And I get emotional. I think everybody up here is there's probably bets on when Jimmy's going to cry. But I get real emotional because of what happened in my hometown. And then I look at the call to action that happens on a moment's notice. You're prepared, you deploy out with your gear. Task Force 3 with almost 80 men and women that come to Northwest Florida. And I think I talked to Rick one time, y'all were over in Carabel, but y'all were all over the place in the Panhandle, home to home to home, checking on the well-being of the citizens of my state. And not only ensuring that they're safe, that they've got what they need, and we don't do it once, we don't do it twice, we do it 3 times, we do it 4 times. And we go and we make sure these individuals are not so stubborn for their own good, they don't put themselves in harm's way. And you do this without hesitation, you do this without pause, you do this because of your love of the job, you do this for your love of the state, and because I know you don't do it because of the money. But I'm supposed to be here to tell you the importance of hurricane preparedness, but I can't stop and just be in awe of the men and women I get to stand in front of right now. And like I said, I was pulling through. Y'all all staged over at Gulf Coast State College. I think after you left, there was a pallet of water that sat there for about 3 weeks after you left town. But to see you come through and living in tents and making a difference in order to save lives. But this is what's important. These men and women are prepared to move in a moment's notice. But what we have to do as citizens of the state of Florida is we have to make sure we do our job in being prepared. And this is what our call to action is today. It is being prepared, because these men and women should not have to put their lives at risk about us as citizens of the state not being prepared when a storm comes. And unfortunately, our hurricanes, they love paradise. Well, friends, we live in paradise. And it's not if a storm is going to hit the state of Florida again, and is when. And I agree. I don't think we'll have any earthquakes, but we will see another storm. And this is projected to be a very active season. We're 25 days into this upcoming hurricane season, and there's preparation that you can take right now to make a difference. We rolled out a website. It's preparefl.com, and that's a nice checklist of things that you can do to be prepared. And I tell people there's simple things you can do right now. When you know the storm is coming, that's too late. You need to do it now. There's not a named storm. Everybody has a smartphone nowadays. Get in your house and go walk around your house and take a video and talk to yourself as you walk around your house, shooting that video of everything you own in your house, okay? Take some pictures. It's not going to hurt. Take some pictures on the inside and the outside. Take a picture of your insurance policy and then email them to yourself. Put them somewhere virtual. The cloud sometimes has a purpose. That purpose is to keep a virtual copy of those documents, because when it comes and the storm hits and you've lost everything, you're not going to remember what you've lost. But you know what? As long as you heed the warnings, you prepare and you evacuate, these men and women don't put their lives at risk. So as I call you on this now, please, if you're in the sound of my voice, it is not too late. Start preparing now for hurricane season, and just do what's right. As I want to touch on with Hurricane Michael, just to give you some statistics, 147,000 claims were filed. There's going to be $6.6 billion with just insured claims taking place. That's not including the uninsured claims taking place. 1.3 million acres and 1.8 million acres of downed trees. 1.3 million of it is privately owned. So you think of the fire hazards that now exist as due to these natural disasters. These are real. These are real, and these are concerns that we've got to truly face and be serious with. But as I, again, urge you again, check out our website, preparefl.com. I want to brag a minute about these legislators up here. I know we're talking about hurricane preparedness, but these brave men and women, you know, they have to pick fights sometimes. And one of the issues that we fought together and passed unanimously, and I'm very proud to be standing up here with them, is a cancer benefit for our firefighters. This past year was a big deal, as cancer is the #1 killer of our firefighters in the line of duty deaths. It was time that the state of Florida step up and provide this benefit, this peace of mind to our firefighters. And I'm very appreciative. I'm very honored to stand up with all these individuals up here today as we stand united, as letting those individuals that rush in when disaster strikes, as we run away, that as all those times that they have got our back, it was time for the state of Florida to step up and say, you know what, good point, we're going to have your back on this one. So the honor, yeah, thank you. So again, thank you so much for your attendance today. We're going to have a great demonstration. I want the public to realize what happens when they evacuate, as they should, with these brave men and women and some of the equipment that they deploy in order to save lives. And I went on one of the trips with task force, and we were up in a part of Bay County that's called Cedar Grove. And as we were driving through there, we're going from house to house, seeing our first responders from other parts of the state of Florida climbing up on a roof, putting a tarp on a household, checking the vital signs of our citizens that were affected by the storm, you know, making sure they had their necessary medications. Cell phone service was out for 12 days, providing cell phones to talk to their loved ones, let them know everything's okay. These little things are why we have such an incredible state to live in, but we don't have economic development, we don't have prosperity, we don't have relocation of companies to our state, we don't have the great arts that the mayor is championed. None of this exists without a robust safety net that works 24/7, 365. Thank you for your service to the citizens of the state of Florida and answering the call. God bless.